Okay, now you can hear me?
Yes.
Good. Well, it's time. It's 6:30.
All right.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. This is really nice. Thank you for inviting me to your homes. The marvel of technology.
Rabbi, this is Mike Krasno. Let me start for a moment. Shabbat shalom to everyone. This is Michael Krasno. I'm chairman of the Rabbi Selection or Search Committee. Please stay muted throughout the services. On behalf of the Rabbi Search Committee, I welcome Rabbi Altshuler to Temple Beth Shalom, even if it is only by Zoom. Rabbi is in London, which is 5 hours later than us. So it's 11:30 at night there, and he's back in his shul to do these services with us. And this will be his second Erev Shabbat service today. So we thank you very much.
Even longer.
Well, we thank you very much for accommodating us. And Rabbi and Stan, it's all yours.
Thank you, Michael. You've made me feel welcome since the moment that we spoke, and I can't thank Stan enough for helping me with everything, and all of you for your warmth and the kindness that you've already shown. I again, as I said, thank you for welcoming in your homes. It's Shabbat. It's a wonderful feeling, and I hope that we'll have a wonderful time together now as we usher in this beautiful Shabbat together. So let's begin with Yedid Nefesh, page 10 in our Lev Shalem.
Yedid Nefesh Avarachaman Meshoch Avdach El Ratzonach Yaretz Avdach Kamo Ayal Yishtachaveh Mol Hadarach Ki Yerab Lo Yedidutach Mino Fetzuf Vecholtam Hador Nae Ziv Haolam Nafshi Cholat Ahavatach Ana Elna Rafanala Baharot Lano Hamzivach Az Titchazek V'titrape V'hayatalach Shivchat Olam Ya la 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 Ya la 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 Ya la 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 Ya la 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 la.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Let's begin with this. Hopefully you'll find this a nice way to begin the service. O God, whom our ancestors called Oseh Shalom Bimromav, maker of peace in the heavens, be with us and bless us in our quest for Shalom, for peace. Help us, O source of peace, to find true peace in our own lives and with our neighbors, but keep us from a peace of complacency or a quiet of false security. Help us, O source of peace, to labor for peace in our community and in our nation, but keep us loyal to our convictions as we seek to reach out to others. Help us, O source of peace, to strengthen the hands of those who work for peace in our very troubled world, but strengthen too our devotion to freedom and our dedication to justice for all. Help us to welcome truth from whatever source and to sustain hopeful spirits at all times. Keep us from being prisoners of precedent or hostages of habit in thought or in deed. As you have taught us, we, the people of Israel, to Ohev Shalom V'Rodfehu, to love peace, to pursue peace, Grant us, we pray, this special Shabbat, the blessing of Shabbat peace. Shabbat shalom.
Amen.
Let's welcome the Shabbat, continue doing so. Page 11, Lechuna Ranana.
Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena, ladonai. Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena, ladonai. Naria, naria, letzur yeshenu nekadma flana betoda. Naria, naria, letzur yeshenu Bizmirot narialo, lechoneranena, 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 ladonai, lechoneranena, 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 ladonai. Kiel gadolanem akolam ashevedem akolam ashevedem
Yabeshet Yerev Sara Bonishta Chavani Fragani Fragani Blavseju. אנחנו ניצום אצל ידו, אל תיגשו לו וכבריבה, כמסע בביבר.
40 shana akot bedor, va'omar amto elevavhem, v'hem lo yadu derachai, asher nishpati v'yapi, im yavon el menuchati.
Celebration of life. Yismachu Hashemayim, page 14. Yismachu Hashemayim.
Yismachu hashamayim.
Hamayim.
Yismachu hashamayim.
Hamayim.
Yismachu hashamayim. V'tagel haaretz. Yismachu hashamayim.
Hamayim.
Yismachu hashamayim.
Hamayim.
Yismachu hashamayim. V'tagel haaretz. Yeramayam, 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 Umalo. Yeramayam, 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 Umalo. Yalo Sadar Shabazin Rakalat Sayar. Lifnei Adonai Kiva, Kiva Lishpat Aretz. Yishpat Kevel B'Tzedek. Be'amim be'amunato.
Romamu, page 20.
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lahar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lahar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romamu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romamu. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lahar kodsho. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lahar kodsho.
And on page 21, the sixth of the 7 Psalms that welcome Shabbat. Havu Adonai, Mizmor David. Havu Adonai b'nei Helim. Havu Adonai kavod va'oz. Havu Adonai kevod shemo. Ishtachavu Adonai behadrat kodesh. Kol Adonai hamayim el hakavod hirim. Adonai, Adonai hamayim rabim. Kol Adonai ba'koach, Kol Adonai behadar, Kol Adonai shover arazim. Vayashaber Adonai et arzei halvanon, vayakidem kemo egel, Levanon v'Sirion kemo ven re'emim. Kol Adonai chotzev lavodesh. Kol Adonai yachil midbar. Yachil Adonai midbar kadesh. Kol Adonai yecholel ayalot. Vayechasof ye'aharot. Uvhechalo kulo, 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 kulo omer kavod. Adonai lamabul yashav, vayeshev Adonai melech olam. Adonai oz liamo yitein. Adonai yevarech et amo vashalom. Lachadodi. The first two stanzas and the last two stanzas we'll be singing. Page 23.
Yala la la la, 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 yala la la. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, panei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, panei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Ishmiyanu elam yuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'litehila, L'echad odi, likrat kala, Panei Shabbat nekabela, L'echad odi, likrat kala, Panei Shabbat nekabela, likrat Shabbat lecho v'necha, ki hi makor habaracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh v'machshavat techila, lecha dodi, likrat kala, Panei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi, likrat kala, Panei Shabbat nekabela, Yamin u'smol tifrotzi, v'yet Adonai ta'aritzi, al yad ish ben partzi, v'nismecha v'nagila, lecha dodi, likrat kala, Panei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi, likrat kala, Panei Shabbat nekabela.
You can rise if you.
Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha v'tzahala, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, lecha dodi, likrat kala, Panei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi, likrat kala, Panei Shabbat nekabela.
Page 28, Sadi Katamar Yifrach.
Tzadikatamar yifrach, ke'erez balvanon yiske, shetolim b'veit Adonai, v'chatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu. Oh, Yenovon B'Seva, Deshenim Verananim, Yeyu Lahagid, Ki Yashar Adonai, Tsuri, Velo Avlatabo. Adonai malach geyut lavesh, lavesh Adonai ositazar, avtikon tevel, baltimot avtikon Tevel Baltimot, Nachon Kisacha Meaz, Me'olam Ata, Nasun Harot Adonai, Nasun Harot Kolam, Yesu, Naharot Dachyam, Mikolot Mayim Rabim, Adirim Mishpereyam, Adir Bamarom Adonai, Adir Bamarom Adonai, Edotecha Nemnu Mod, Leveitcha Nava Kodesh, Adonai Leorech Yamim, Adonai Leorech Yamim, Mikolot Mayim Rabim, Adirim Mishpereyam, Adir Bamarom Adonai, Adir Bamarom Adonai.
And mourners and those observing yard site can rise now and recite the Kaddish Yatom. We'll do together. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabba. V'alma divrach chirutei v'yamnech malchutei. V'chayefon v'yamechon chayei b'kol Beit Yisrael v'agala v'zman kari. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba mevarach v'lam l'mel Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei d'Kedusha Richu Leila min kol echata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata amiran bi'alma v'imru Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Ose shalom bimromav hu ya'ase shalom aleinu v'al kol Israel. Amen. Amen. Okay, we'll take a little break before we continue with the evening service, and hopefully I'll be able to share my thoughts. Wonderful and very unique setting. I'm a historian, and I am fascinated with people. And one of the most fascinating personalities that affected Jewish life was Mark Twain. Many people don't know that Mark Twain spent some time in Vienna. And when he was in Vienna, he kind of spurned the elite of Vienna. And he spent most of his time with his friends who happened to mostly be Jewish. And he learned a lot about Judaism, such that he decided he wanted to visit Jerusalem. He wanted to go to what was then Palestine, Eretz Yisrael. And he went. And he visited there for quite a long period of time. And he wrote his memoirs when he came back in 1899. And I want to share with you what he wrote, and we'll talk about it. He said the following. This is a fantastic few lines. The Egyptian, the Babylonian, and the Persian rose and filled the planet with sound and splendor, then faded to dream stuff and passed away. The Greek and the Roman followed and made a vast noise, and they are gone. Other people have sprung up and held their torches high for times, but they burned out and they sit in twilight now or have vanished. The Jew saw them all and beat them all, and now he is as he always has been, exhibiting no decadence, no infirmities of age, no slowing of energies, no dulling of his alert and aggressive mind. All things are mortal, but the Jew. All other forces pass, but he remains. What is the secret of his immortality? Such a strong, strong few words. And he was in Jerusalem long before the Jerusalem we know today, the vibrant city. So the question is, I'd like to just share briefly with you, and there are many different answers here. What is the secret of the immortality of us, of the Jewish people? I have to tell you, I don't believe that a day passes in my life when I don't think about that. And I also am so amazed and privileged that I was one of the lucky ones who have been born as I am, a very proud Jew and from a very nice Jewish home. The miracle of our existence, I'm sure you share those similar feelings, that there is something very miraculous about who we are. And I thought that perhaps part of the answer to this question might come from very keen insight in the Torah portion this week, as we're continuing the stories of Joseph, the protagonist of Miketz, the portion of the week. And Joseph, as you know, just to recount a little bit of what happened, he went through a series of horrific events. Any one of these things would have destroyed most people, normal human beings. His brothers manhandled him with their jealousy, their rage. They were ready to kill him. They ended up throwing him into a pit in the middle of the desert. He was finally rescued from the pit at near death. He was stripped of his clothing, and then he was sold into slavery, brought to Egypt as a slave. Because he was clever, he was placed in charge as the chief steward of his master's home, Potiphar. And when he was in the home there, he was charged by Eshet Potiphar, we don't have a name. The wife of Potiphar accused him of sexual harassment. He was thrown into prison as a result of that. He never thought he was going to get out. He was in charge of the prison at that time. And so here's a man who was betrayed by his brothers. He was near death. He was humiliated as being a slave in Egypt. He was framed for a crime he did not commit. He was thrown into prison. You can imagine what the conditions must have been like. And this, despite years of separation from his father that he loved. What kept Joseph going through all of this? Well, we get a glimpse of this as we continue reading the Joseph stories, that he fell back on his youth. And as we read last week, this was the dreamer, Joseph. He was one that had dreamed that the sheaves would bow down to him, that the sun and the moon would bow down, and the 11 stars, which were symbolic of the tribes of Israel, his brothers, that they would one day bow down to him. And perhaps just as a thought that he knew that this would happen. And perhaps that was the ingredient that kept him going all those years with such tremendous hardship. So this idea of dreaming is a very powerful tool. I gave a sermon here at Ne'ilah about Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream, which is one of the greatest speeches ever made. He had a vision of the future, which in many ways has come to be. That's the power of the vision. Natan Sharansky tells us in his account of his life in solitary confinement in Siberia, that without his knowledge, his dreams as a Jew, that one day he would be in Israel, he would not have been able to survive. And we know that Israel today is really in existence because of so many of our people who had the foresight, the dream that we would return to the land and that there one day would be a Jewish state again. So we are a people armed with dreams. We know what has happened with the creation of the state of Israel in our lifetimes, which began in the year 770 of the Common Era, to almost a 2,000-year exile. And we know that there's an Israel today only because our ancestors knew it would take place. By the way, there's a big difference between dreaming and beliefs. A belief is something you believe in, but a dream, the way our rabbis interpret this, is a dream is something that you know will one day happen. It's not just a belief. It's it's an affirmation of everything that will be true. And we know that we have a state of Israel today because our people had this dream. They knew that we would be back there. We have dreams still today. We have dreams of messianism, one of Maimonides' 12 principles of faith, that one day there will be a world, many interpretations of Messiah, Mashiach, Yemota Mashiach, the days of the Messiah. But in general, this is a time when our people will be redeemed. The world will be living in peace. We look forward to a world of justice and harmony. And that is a very much part of our Jewish dreams still. That's why we affirm them. L'Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim. Passover is, in a sense, the reliving of a dream, that our people will one day drink from the cup of Elijah and will be able to say, imagine ancestors from the 12th century, 8th century, L'Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem. So I never know who gets the credit for this, whether it's Golda Meir, Theodor Herzl, or David Ben-Gurion, but you've probably all heard this when they said in their different way, a Jew who does not believe in miracles or dreams is not a realist. That's one of the great lines we should all remember. So what are our dreams today? I think it's a very important function of being Jewish in Sarasota or London or everywhere in the world, that we're a people that wakes up every day. How can we fulfill our dreams? We live Shabbat. Shabbat is about living peace. We know that peace is possible because we've all experienced Shabbat. That is how Judaism travels to the realization and the knowledge that dreams can become true. I think it's very important for synagogues to affirm that. We are a people of vision, of ideals. We never give them up. We never say that it's impossible to change the world, because we know it's been done and that we will continue to do so. We just finished celebrating Hanukkah, which expresses really the fulfillment of a dream of survival of our people against impossible odds to survive 2,200 years ago. There was no way we should have won that Maccabean revolt. But they knew that the temple had to be cleansed, had to be restored, Chanukot Habayit, and they searched for the cruse of oil because they knew that they were going to find it. So it's a very beautiful message, and I'd like to finish with this because it's really a contrast between reality and the Jewish notion of dreams. And it comes from a rabbi who was here in London. He passed away about 15 years ago, and his widow is still alive. I see her at various Jewish occasions. His name is Hugo Gryn. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he was a child who survived Auschwitz. And he was there in 1944 until liberation, 1945. And he tells this story about Hanukkah, the first night of Hanukkah. He was there in Auschwitz with his father, and Hanukkah came. And as you know, the Jews in Auschwitz were given enough to sustain 220 calories per day. So they were given a little piece of margarine was the share that they were getting on a daily basis, or whatever, little piece of margarine. And when Hanukkah came, Hugo Gryn tells the story that his father had the margarine, whatever it was, freeze so that he could make like a symbolic candle to light the Chanukiah. And Hugo Gryn tells the story that he was a young kid then. He was so upset with his father. Dad, how can you we're starving here. How could you take our sustenance away? We have to eat. Who cares about Hanukkah? We need to live. And then he says that his father said something to him that he has never forgotten and became a part of his life since that time. And he quotes his father as saying, "My son, we know that we can live 3 days without water. We can live 3 weeks without food, but we cannot live 3 minutes without hope and dreams." So I share that with you. It's affected me, left an imprint on my own being and what I try to do and what I try to share about the miracle of Jewish life. a people of dreams, which I would contend is the substance of our very survival. Shabbat Shalom. Let's now continue with the service. If you can, we'll rise and we'll continue with the Baruch Hu, which can be found on page 39.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Amavorach.
Baruch Adonai Vorach Le'olam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Amavorach Le'olam Vaed. Baruch Adonai Amavorach Le'olam Vaed.
Machali v'zmanim asadegravim mishmorhem b'ritsno borei yom v'layla.
Umavir yom umevi laila umabdil ben yom uven laila Adonai tzvot shemo El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai amariv aravim.
Amen. Ahavat Olam, page 40. Praise God.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shachveinu uvkumeinu nasiach b'chukecha v'nismach b'divrei toratecha u'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki hem chayenu v'yorech yameinu uvahem negeh yomam v'layla v'ahavatecha al tasirni min le'olamim baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael.
Amen. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'yahavta et Adonai Elohecha, v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'odecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'dibata bam v'shiftecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uvshapecha uvkumecha ukshatam liot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot B'heinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha. Continue with the Shema, page 42. V'hayam shmo tishmo mitzvotai asher anachi mitzavetchem hayom. V'natati eseh b'sat chlivantecha v'zabata yishamru lachem. V'adamot v'tel v'lava v'temira. למען יבואי מכם ובניכם על האדמה שנשבעותיכם לתת להם כי מהשמיים על הארץ ויאמר אדוני משה לאמור ציציתם תונתכם כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם ולא תטורו למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. Page 43. A, 43A, Emet Vemuna. Twenty-three B. Malchut Torah together. Malchuto.
Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh Nora tehiloro sefel ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 malchutecha ra'uvanecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe Ze Elianu v'amru Adonai imlach le'olam va'ed Ya la 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 ya la 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 Ya la 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 ya la 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 V'ne'emar Kifada Adonai Et Yaakov Ugalo miyad chazak mimenu Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
Amen. Tfilat l'shalom, our prayer for peace. Hashkivenu, page 45.
Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Ushmor tzeiteinu, uvoenu, l'chaim u'shalom, me'ata v'ad olam. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha Baruch atah Adonai Haporei sukat shalom Aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim v'al Yerushalayim v'al Yerushalayim. Amen.
Amen. If you can, we rise for Vishamru, page 46.
V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam barit olam v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam barit olam Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael od leolam, od leolam, v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ויעמד ירקרתי וימלך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעולם לא מעלמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה ברכו. לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא, ואמרו Amen.
Our silent Amidah, page 47 through page 52. Amidah.
Ya la 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 Adonai. Ya la 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 Sfatai Tiftach. Ya la 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 Ufi Agid Tehilatecha. Ya la 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 Adonai. Ya la 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 Sfatai Tiftach. Ya la 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 Ufi Agid Tehilatecha. Oh, say shalom, shalom bimromav. Oh, yaseh shalom. Oh, say shalom, shalom bimromav. Oh, yaseh shalom. Oh, yaseh shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'yimaru Amen ve'yimaru Amen.
Vayechudu Hashemayim, page 53, gift of Shabbat.
Vayechulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzevam vayechal Elohim bayom hashvi malachto asher asa vayishpat bayom hashvi mikol melachto asher asa vayevarech Elohim et yom hashvi Vayakadesh oto, kivo Shabbat mikol melachto, kivo Shabbat mikol melachto, asher barak Elohim, asher barak Elohim lasot. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elokei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Agadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon Konei Shamayim V'Aretz, Magen Avot Bidvaro, Mechaye Metim B'Mamaro, Ha'el HaKadosh Ein Kamo, Hameniach Le'amo, B'Yom Shabbat Kodsho, Kivam Ratza L'Haniach Lahem, Kivam Ratza L'Haniach Lahem, Lefanav Navod B'Yirav V'Fachad, V'Nodeh Lishmo B'Chol Yom Tamid, Me'on HaBrachot, El HaOdot, Adon HaShalom, Makadesh HaShabbat, Umarek Shavi, Umeniach Bikdusha, Le'amidu Shnei Oneg, Zecher, L'Maaseh Bereshit.
Page 54.
Eloheinu v'Eloi Avotenu v'Imotenu, Ritzei v'Imnuchatenu, Kadshenu b'mitzvotecha, v'tein chelkeinu b'toratecha, Sabeinu mituvecha, v'samcheinu b'shuatecha, v'ta'er libeinu, v'ta'er libeinu, v'ta'er libeinu li'avdecha v'emet, v'hanchilenu Adonai Eloheinu, v'yahava uvratzon Shabbat kodshecha, v'yanuchu v'Yisrael, Makadeshei Shemecha, Baruch atah Adonai, Kadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. Kaddish Shalem.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, v'yalmad dirakirtei v'yamlech malchutei, v'chayechon v'yamechon, v'chayedecho Beit Yisrael, v'agalav v'zman kari v'yimaru.
Amen.
Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevorach, le'olam lo me'el maya, Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpar v'yitramam, v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar, v'yitalev, v'yithalal, Shmei Dekudisha,
Vihu.
Leila min kol verchata v'shirata, tishwata v'nechamata, damiran v'oma v'yimaru.
Amen.
Tikabal tzlaton avutan, l'chol Yisrael, kadam avon divishmaya v'yimaru.
Amen.
Yehi shlam arama min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimaru.
Amen.
Oseh shalom dimroma v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimaru.
Amen. Perhaps we could rise where you're at. This is a great celebration, a wonderful Shabbat for me personally. I hope for you as well. And we're going to sanctify this wonderful Shabbat with the Kiddush. Please join with me at home. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam borei pori hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon, hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit, ki hu yom techila למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים, כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת, מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון נטלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Tasted great, Paul. Delicious wine. We remain standing for Aleinu, page 56. Aleinu l'Shabbat.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tet gdula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu k'chol amonam. אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שעונת השמיים ויוסד הארץ מושב יקרה בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בגבהי מרומים הוא אלוהינו אין עוד אמת מלכנו אוהב זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, ידעת היום השבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא אלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת. אין עוד. על כן נקבל כי המלכות שלך היא לעולמי תמלוך בכבוד, ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We pause at the end of our service here, of course, to remember our loved ones, the yard sites, the observance of the passing of the second week of Tevet. We remember Mitchell Backhow, Nochem Asherovitz, Laser Bulk, Hannah Bulk, Philip Herman, Jean Levine, Alice Smith Levin, Virginia Schmalo, Marion Ellis, Shirley Brodsky, Leonard Cole, Erwin Ernst, Abe Farkas, Abe Cranman, Edward Altman, Fanny Young, Sidney Greenberg, Julius Hafitz, Neil Halperin, Barnett I. Ginsberg, William Hyatt, Milton Schaff, Alfred Christofferson, Rezel S. Kronik, Arthur N. Lappin, Patricia Welch, Leo Zucker, Arthur Levison, Esther C. Lichtenstein, Ann Melamed, Jerome Waldstein, Francis Parker, Shirley Melamed, David Morris, Howard Morris, Maurice M. Smith, Valentina Miasnikova, Harry Ratner, Rebecca Hamburger, Estelle Schechner, Samuel David Hirsch, Isidore Cohen, Milton Ginsberg, Virginia Schmalo, Julius Lamkin, Lila S. Sesserman, Frederick Goldberg, Pearl Poretz, Israel Cohen, Jerry Ring, Louis Schuchat, Ronald Zatman.
What's his sound?
Martin W. Zellen. Zichronam Livracha. May their memories be a blessing to all of you who remember, and those who are still in mourning, and those observing yard sites, together will recite the Kaddish in their memory. Love always with us together. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemir rabba, v'yalma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kari v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevarach v'lam l'mei maya, yiparach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shmei dekudusha brichu, Eila min kol bechata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechmata, damiran bi'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Alehem shalom. May peace be upon them. I think we have some announcements here before we conclude.
Thank you, Rabbi Altshuler.
Pleasure.
Good Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom l'mishpachtenu, our family. A warm welcome to you all. It is really great to see so many people here tonight. I hope you all had a wonderful Hanukkah. A very special warm welcome to you, Rabbi Altshuler in London. I know it's well past midnight now, and so in addition to saying good Shabbos to you, we say top of the morning to you, as they say in Britain. And we are extremely pleased to have you with us. I'd like to commence by just telling our congregation a bit about you. Your resume is fairly extensive, so I'll just hit on some of the highlights. Rabbi Altshuler received a Bachelor of Arts from the University of California. He was Phi Beta Kappa. He received a Bachelor of Literature from the University of Judaism in Los Angeles, Master of Arts from the Jewish Theological Seminary of America, and a doctorate also of Hebrew Literature from the Jewish Theological Seminary. He was subsequently ordained as a rabbi. Rabbi Altshuler currently is completing 10 years at Belsize Square Synagogue in London. He has served in congregations in this country, in California, Illinois, Virginia, and Connecticut. He has taught courses at the university level. He has been a member of the Rabbinic Assembly since 1980 and has organized support for AIPAC in all communities. Rabbi Altshuler is married to Ella Altshuler, who is an accomplished musician, singer, songwriter, and poet. Rabbi Altshuler himself is also accomplished and began playing the violin at the age of 4.5 years. He also plays the piano and guitar, and his interests are baseball, basketball, golf, and chess. So he's certainly well-rounded. I would like to thank you, Rabbi Altshuler, for your very erudite sermon. We are all proud of our Jewish heritage, and thank you for sharing your vision and the vision of so many notable Jews in our past. This was very inspiring, and we thank you for it. Thank you also for conducting this very beautiful service. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Stan Mitchell for his cantorial excellence. I'd like to thank Evie Mitchell, our page turner, and also Elliot Korn, our technical czar, for technical assistance and reassurance. Some general announcements now. The Bimmer baskets were sponsored by Sue and Marty Spector in honor of Sue's birthday, Miriam and Mario Helfone in honor of Mario's birthday. We wish them many more, Mazel Tov, many more in health and happiness. Also Mazel Tov to Esther Snyder in honor of her great nephew, Ariel Myers, who was one of 2 winners in a national essay contest. And his essay was Why I Like Hanukkah, written from the point of view of the Hanukkah situated in the China cabinet. Sounds quite intriguing. A few words about forthcoming programs. We have our morning minyan, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. every morning of the week. On Tuesdays, Rabbi Siegel continues with swimming in the Sea of Talmud, and on Wednesday, Gatsi Torah. On Tuesday evening at 7 p.m., as part of our Staying Connected series, we have Neil Hoffman, who was the inventor of the famous and popular Mensch on a Bench, which should be interesting and amusing. And then I want to tell you about the presentation on Wednesday afternoon. That is December 23rd. There is a presentation of Primo Levi by Sharon Portnoy, daughter of one of our congregants. I think you all know about Primo Levi, who was the celebrated Italian writer, chemist, partisan, and Auschwitz survivor. His one book, The Periodic Table, has been hailed as one of the greatest scientific books of all time. So those are some of the announcements. And with that, Esme and I bid you all Shabbat Shalom. And I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Tonight we had a record attendance, and I'm sure tomorrow we'll have even more. So please join Rabbi Altshuler and the congregation tomorrow morning. Thank you, Rabbi Altshuler. Back to you now.
Thank you. Let's conclude this wonderful service with Shalom Aleichem, and let's just feel like we're all together in one room. But we need to do that. It's Shabbat. Shalom Aleichem. Stan.
Ya la la ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la la. Shalom Aleichem Malachei Asharet Malachei Elyon Mimelech Malchei Amlachim Akadosh Baruch Hu Boachem L'Shalom Malachei Ashalom Malachei Elyon Mimelech Malchei Amlachim Akadosh Baruch Hu Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 Barchuni l'shalom malachei ashalom malachei elyon Mimelech malchei amlachim akadosh baruch hu Tzedchem l'shalom malachei ashalom malachei elyon Mimelech malchei amlachim akadosh baruch hu Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, thank you, everyone. I can't wait till tomorrow. I need to get some sleep, but I'll be back. Everybody have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you at 10 o'clock in the morning, your time. And I wish you all a wonderful Shabbat. You made me feel right at home. Bye-bye. Thank you, Stan, for everything.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi Yeshikar.
Eric, thank you for your warm welcome, and everyone. Mike,
Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, so overwhelming. All this noise here. You're having dinner. I'm going to sleep. Bye, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Bye.
Good night. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm trying. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Everybody. Stay well. Stay warm.